Alright class, now last lesson we completed community, the topic on community, okay? And I told you in today's lesson we're going to be looking at biotic and abiotic factors. But before we begin, I would like you to actually ensure you've got all your equipment with you, okay? Have you got your pen? Have you got your ruler, your green pen, your pencil, and your book, okay? I would like you to pause this video while you go do that. Alright, are you back? Well done. Okay, now, like I said, we've covered community. What I would like you to do is actually to answer the retrieval questions, okay? There are 4 questions. I'll give you 3 minutes to answer these questions. So pause the video while you answer these questions. Alright, are you all done? Brilliant. So the question is asking now for you to define what community is. And from last lesson, we know that community is all different plants and animals living in a specific area. Alright, have you been able to define it? Well done. Now the second question says, what does interdependence mean? Now before we continue, make sure you're using your green pen, okay, to mark your work, okay, and make those corrections. Alright, now, so what does interdependence mean? Okay, now this is when 2 or more animals or plants rely on each other for survival. Alright, does that make sense? Brilliant. And can you then give an example of interdependence? Okay, the flowers and the bees, for example, is an example. Okay, and then the 4th question, okay, what is the order of classification? I remember asking this question last lesson. Can you remember it? Yes. So kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Did we get that right? I know that was quite a difficult one, but I would say try to use something that will help you to remember it, okay? Now, so the challenge question is state a benefit of having a stable community. Did you answer that question? I remember we looked at that last lesson as well. Oh, yes. So the population can remain fairly constant. All right. So what I'd like you to do is to go through it, okay? Line up your marks, make those corrections, pause the video. I'll give you roughly 30 seconds to do that. All right, can we move on? Brilliant. So we're going to be moving on to today's topic, okay? And our learning objective is to understand how biotic and abiotic factors can affect a community, okay? So like we always do, I would like you to actually write down your learning objective, okay? I need you to write it down now because I'm going to wait for you to do that, okay? So pause the video and write it. Are you all done? Well done. That is brilliant. Well done. Now, today, hopefully, we'll be able to name some abiotic and biotic factors that affect communities. And we should be able to explain how a change in an abiotic or biotic factor might affect a community, given appropriate data or context. All right. Now, for starter, okay, what might have caused this trait to die? Looking at it, what do you think might have caused this trait to die? I want to hear it from you. Can you say it out loud? Yeah? Yeah, lack of food? Mm-hmm. Now, you've talked about maybe food, for example, but plants or trees carry out photosynthesis, and it requires the sun, though. So, what else do you think is missing? Yes, well done. Nutrients. Water. Maybe there's been lack of water there, okay? That might be another factor. Or maybe it got affected by parasites or bacteria or a fungi. Does that make sense? Well done. Now, what I want you to do now is to actually watch the video, okay? There's a link that has been sent to you as well for YouTube. Click on it and watch a video on what abiotic and biotic factors mean, okay? And I need you to write down the differences between them and give examples of each, okay? So pause this video while you watch that video. All right, welcome back. Now, from that video, I hope you'll be able to learn that abiotic factors are physical or non-living conditions that affect distribution of a population in an ecosystem. For example, seasons, climate change. Is it raining? Is it really sunny? Is it dry? That is a non-living condition that affects distribution of a population in an ecosystem, okay? Now, so what about biotic? Biotic is quite the opposite, okay? Now, these are factors caused by living organisms, okay, that affect other populations in their ecosystem, all right? For example, parasites, viruses, bacteria, okay? These are factors that affect a population in their ecosystem. And this is also interesting as well in the sea as well, okay? For example, in the last lesson, we saw a picture about the oil spillage, for example. Now, that can be abiotic, okay? There was a oil spillage and that might pretty much affect the population of the ecosystem of the sea, okay? So biotic, living, all right? Abiotic, non-living. Does that make sense? Brilliant. Now, okay, so information hunt. Now, there are 11 factors you need to know about. All right. Now, what I want you to do is to write down some of these factors. Now, if you're actually in the classroom, okay, I would have asked you after I've put these things around the room, okay? But I need you to write down some of these factors you think you need to know about. All right. So write it down in your book, jot them down, and then we'll see if some of the answers you've written are right. All right, can we move on? Brilliant. Now, I've written it down. So what I want you to do before I forget is to actually try and answer the exam question. I know you're wondering, oh, I've just learned about abiotic and biotic, but not so much. Yes, I think you've known quite a lot already. So I need you to answer the exam question. Remember, don't be nervous. Okay, the answers are there as well. So answer the question, all right? And after answering the questions, let's try and mark it as well, okay? So do that. So you have 8 minutes, so I need you to pause the video. All right, are you done? Brilliant. All right, so let us look at this now. What I want you to do now is to write, now these are lists of different factors. I need you to separate these factors, okay, from abiotic to biotic factors, okay? So try to draw like a circle and separate them, all right? Now I'm going to give you roughly 5 minutes to do that, okay? So I need you to actually pause the video, all right, and attempt it, okay? Now, what as a challenge as well, I would say you should also choose one example and decide whether it is biotic or abiotic and explain why. And also, do you think which of these factors do you think causes the biggest impact on an organism? Are you all done? Brilliant. Let's see. Now, this is actually the right answer now. Okay, I hope you got it right. So for biotic factors, we've got new predators, we've got moisture levels, we've got soil pH. Now, soil pH can be affected by a lot of factors actually, okay? Affected by the bacteria there, all right? We've got competitions between animals could affect abiotic factors, okay? Can affect the population of a community, an ecosystem, all right? Now, when we now look at abiotic factors, okay, we have things like the wind intensity, all right? We've got things like availability of food, all right? We've got like new pathogens, we've got temperature, okay? We've got light intensity, how much light is being produced, and the availability of oxygen, okay? Now, which one do you think has got the most impact? Actually, new pathogens will have the most impact. I believe the new pathogens will have the most impact, okay? And my reason is we can actually, for example, all right, we can look at the current situation right now in terms of the coronavirus case, for example, all right? A lot of people have died from it, unfortunately, which is really sad, okay? So if there's a pathogen, it's more likely that the pathogen can spread, all right? And if these plants or animals have not developed immunity for it, all right, that could wipe out the population if care is not taken, all right? Temperature also can also affect the ecosystem, all right? Does that make sense? Now, I do hope you've learned quite a lot. Actually, let's have a look at this. Ooh, can you see that? Now, something was wrong there, all right? Pathogen should be abiotic. You know why? Because it's living. All right, it's living, right? And I'm sure you're like, oh, but sir, yeah. Now that showed you that, okay? But pathogen is actually a living organism, right? Availability of food, also food can be plants as well, all right? Grass, plants, anything green as well could be living as well. So that will be biotic, all right? Now I do hope you've learned quite a lot from today's lesson. And I do hope now you can name some abiotic and biotic factors that affect our community. And I do hope you can explain how change in an abiotic or biotic factor might affect a community given appropriate data or context. All right. Now I will be talking to you in the next lesson about more of this. All right. Make sure you email us. Make sure you let us know some of the things that might be bothering what you do not understand. Okay, and make sure you feel free to ask us questions. Bye for now.